Hello again, YouTubers. I'm going to take a look at another piece of hometown pride. This time I'm going to take a look at Alpine Light. This one, of course, brewed by Moosehead here in St. John, is the lighter version of one of the more higher rated lagers on my channel so far. I gave the original Alpine lager a 3.5 out of 5. However, Moosehead's other light beer, like Cold Filter Light and Moose Light, received lower scores. But, I'd like to take a look at the light version of Alpine to see if it's, well, anything like its bigger brother, and if it's any good. Because, I mean, Alpine was actually pretty decent. This says, an independent spirit, like the icy summit of the majestic Matterhorn. Alpine Light is the peak of refreshment. Brewed without compromise, Alpine Light is a crisp, smooth light lager from Canada's oldest and largest independent brewery. Yeah, that's true. Moosehead Breweries is the largest independent brewery in Canada right now. It's considered a macro brew in these parts, but it's not exactly a well-known brewer all across the country or through the states. However, it's large enough to be considered a macro. But it's still fiercely connected to being an independent brewer, like how Sleeman's and Rickards is formed by Molson, but like pretty much all of the Canadian beer companies like Sleeman's or Molson or Labatt are all owned by international companies, and Moosehead's the largest one that's still around by itself. Anyway, let's take a look at Alpine Light. Crack it open here and give it a pour. Pour it in my cold filtered light glass, another Moosehead product. It's a rather gratuitous amount of head there. It fills up the top of the glass, and actually those bubbles, if you can see them in the camera there, they actually formed a nice, got like there's some larger bubbles interspersed with smaller ones. It looks like it's dying, but not overly quickly. Color-wise, kind of a light golden color. Almost a straw. But its color-wise is actually quite like its big brother. I think Alpine was a bit darker. Carbonation-wise, what the hell? Very little carbonation. Wow, there's like little bubbles going up through the glass, but they're few and far between. That head's actually started to take on like a mountainy, pillowy appearance. Soft looking. Interesting. Let's give it a sniff. Whoa. It's got like almost a skunky hop aroma with a soda water kind of smell in the background. Boy. That skunkiness is kind of dissipating, but the smell is still tending to take on like a musty kind of smell. What little hops that there are, just really to speak of in that smell, kind of take on more like a almost piney kind of metallic kind of smell. Yeah, well, Alpine, the regular Alpine, claims to use like European style hops, so it wouldn't surprise me if they were like the British style or German style kind of hops. Whether they are actually noble hops or something, it remains to be seen, but all in all, the smell is very faint, very, very faint. Once that skunkiness kind of dissipated, it just has no smell at all, other than a musty soda water smell. Yeah, not really impressed with the smell. Appearance is nice so far though. What matters most, of course, is the taste. Let's see if it's any good. There's a faint touch of hoppy bitterness in the back roof of the mouth. What's there takes on like a metallic kind of coin kind of taste. Very faint though. In the background comes out kind of like a bready kind of pale malt kind of taste. A hint of corn, but barely enough to be noticeable. There is a slight amount of hoppy bitterness that kind of lingers a bit. But all in all, it's just basically very light. It is kind of watery. But it does finish with a slight dryness. I mean, it's not the driest beer in the world. Heck, it's a light lager. How could it be? But the wetness in the back of your throat doesn't linger on very long. And what little does last a bit is very little. Mainly in the, a little bit in your gullet. And your mouth kind of dries out to like a grain, like a bready kind of taste. It's not bad. I'm going to sit down with this for a few minutes and give some thoughts. Alright, so what did I think of Alpine Light? Well, that actually has a pretty decent beer taste, and a taste very akin to its big brother, but it in a much lighter format, which of course is what Alpine Light is supposed to be in the first place. However, compared to other light beers, like say the likes of Moose Light or Coors Light or something like that, I find that it is a watery beer, but it's not quite as watery. It's slightly watery, and preserves quite a bit of beer taste for what it is. I found it to actually be a very refreshing and very tasty beer for a light beer. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. The style of light beer pretty much is a mediocre beer style to begin with. But for what it is, it's one of the best of the field. I think this is one of the best light macro brews that I've had. It's pretty decent, and if you're out in the market or in the liquor store looking for a light beer, 4% alcohol by volume, it's just matches, it fits the part, and it tastes pretty good while doing it. So why not? I do recommend this beer, and I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. Cool.